Hello, everyone. Welcome to Broadway World's On the Rise. My name is Candace Cordelia, and I am super excited to kick off this episode with not one, but two of the actors of the Broadway revival Parade currently on stage now. And it is fantastic. It is powerful. It is important. And I implore all of you to go see it if you haven't already. But if you have, go see it again because it's absolutely amazing. Please welcome to the show Jake Pedersen and Charlie Webb. How are you both?
So good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I really appreciate everything, and I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you both here. And, like I said earlier in my introduction, it's such a powerful and impactful show, Parade. I know for me personally, I knew a basic knowledge of the history of Leo Frank, but going into this show, there was so much that I was not aware of, even having been brought up in America. And I really appreciate what you both and the entire cast are doing to make sure that people are aware of the story behind Parade. I'll throw this question out to you both. For you, Jake and Charlie, how much did you know about the story of Parade and of the trial of Leo Frank before being asked and doing everything that you needed to do to prepare and audition and finally get on stage to bring this story to life?
Yeah, I only knew so much. Just going to I went to college for musical theater, and we studied Parade dramaturgically, and that was kind of like the basis level of the show that I knew. I didn't really know much about the trial. We didn't learn really anything in my high school career there. I didn't really learn anything about the whole case, anything. And so I came into Parade just knowing the little that I did about the musical from college. But then I really dove in the rehearsal process, and I'm very grateful for our dramaturge team that we have over there on Parade, because without there's a bunch of research and rhetoric out there, but they really helped us and guided our way and to see what research was available to us and what we should hone in on. But because this story is so real and so true, it was really eye-opening for me that, like, wow, there's so much that it should be still be being told. And I didn't know enough going into it, and now I have a lot of people supporting me, and I still learn things today. So I feel like I'm never stopped learning. I'll never stop knowing enough.
Yeah, kind of in a similar situation. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, and so I should know this story really well. But it's fascinating because growing up, the education system in Georgia, it briefly was gone over maybe once or twice, like maybe in middle school or high school, but and a lot of people from Georgia just are not educated on this story. And that's part of the problem. That's like why we're doing this show. And a lot of people don't know what happens, even though it's like common knowledge, at the end of the play, certain things happen and people still go in and they're like, oh my God, I didn't know they actually did that. And it's like, no, this is real. And some of it is still happening today. But I did have to educate myself a lot more because I wasn't educated as a kid in Georgia. And my grandma's from Marietta. I have friends that go to Valdosta. I'm from Fulton County. Like, this stuff is next door to me. And it's like, it is wild that, a lot of people just still don't know what's going on. And you have to unearth a lot of this, this history. But whenever I got the call back, I definitely dove into a lot of different historical, things and there's a book out there as well. And there's a movie, and some of them are accurate representations and some of them, are a little bit not. But again, the dramaturgy, packet that we got at the very beginning was so useful, and it helped in many, many different ways.
Yes. And I love the fact that you brought up the fact, Charlie, that you're from Atlanta. And, we're living in a time now where books are being banned. There's a lot of information that people are trying to get that they just can't, depending on where you grow up. I'm personally from Philadelphia, and, there's a lot about Southern history that I myself was not taught in school. It's just, we get what we get, and it's up to us to kind of figure it out as we get older. For you, you play young soldier in Parade on Broadway, and you pretty much, along with the other characters at the top of the show, you're setting up the scene and setting up the history of what it's like to be a Southerner at that time. And speaking about your background and growing up in Georgia, what is it like for you playing this role of the young soldier, getting to know more about the Civil War and the history of the North versus the South at that time, and getting into preparation for a role such as that as you're setting the scene for what we're about to see, and understanding why the South was the way that it was at that time period?
Yeah, of course. Me and Michael had a lot of different conversations about how I was supposed to step into this, the beginning, I guess, and basically have no bias, have no opinion, because it's important to understand that, like, this soldier going to fight, he was fighting to preserve his land, preserve his relationship with his wife. There's possibly this child on the way that they're going to be like taking care of, and all he wants to fight for is for his all of his stuff that he owns. And there's like a reason why in the very beginning, nothing. And the audience is kind of confused. They're like, what? Ben Platt's not out here singing. It's this young soldier. But you don't really know what side he's on until, this flag starts raising in the background, and the whole audience is like, oh my God, he's a Confederate soldier. And Michael does this brilliant thing where he kind of ropes the audience in and like puts them on the same side as the soldier. And then they're like, wow, now I can create opinions. And, I think it's beautiful, and it's it's a little jarring, but I think that that pride, that honor, that glory, that Georgia pride is a real thing, and a lot of people still have it, whether it's good or it's bad, and it's crazy. I will say, but yeah, just having those conversations was really great for me, because I had opinions and biases of my own, and Michael was just like, put them to rest, because we can't really fully develop the story if you don't have an open mind.
I love the fact that you brought up the buzzword, the keyword opinions, because myself as the audience member, there were many times throughout the course of the show where I thought one thing and then I pivoted, and there were times where it was a gray area. You kind of have to think about, well, is Leo innocent? Is he not innocent? What is this character like? What's it? It raises up a lot of questions, which I think is very good. I'm going to throw that to you, Jake, in terms of opinions, because I definitely want to ask you about Frankie Epps, who you play in Parade. I had initial opinions about Frankie, as I'm sure many people did. And then as the course of the show goes on, things change due to the tragic events that unfold. I would love to know what your initial opinions about Frankie Epps were while signing on to play him for Parade.
Yeah, the show is complex, and it's beautifully complex because of that, all the things that it deals with. And my original thoughts when I first was handed the script and what the idea of the show was, and it was very off-putting, just because I come out there swinging this flag, I come out there just like smiling and saying things and doing things that Jake wouldn't normally do or be comfortable doing. And so I was a little nervous, and definitely asked a lot of questions. But I will say Michael and everyone on the creative team set this beautiful tone and an amazing vibe in the room, where we used certain vocabulary, and we're very conscious about how we talked about every topic and everything we do in the show. And so my original opinions, I was nervous, I was shocked. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to give this person justice without putting on something that's inauthentic and not being able to, have my own opinion shine through. However, because of that support in the room, I was able to, have the support system and give it the respect it deserves. Because yes, I think Frankie Epps is complex, but I also think that he is a point of levity in the show and some version of heart in the show. I think everyone in everyday life is flawed in their own ways, and he is just a product of the universe and his surroundings, and he is flawed in his own ways because of the people that he surrounds himself with, that he has no control over. But we grow through him, grow with him, and he is a version of hope, and that is what I hang on to, if anything else.
I really like that. Thank you so much for sharing. This is for both of you, your Broadway debuts, and to have a debut in a show such as Parade, it's a lot. It's pretty heady, and it's awesome, to be quite honest, as well, because you're sharing a story that a lot of people, in my opinion, should know about. For both of you, what was it like preparing, the rigors in terms of being a performer, having these characters as your Broadway debuts? What was that experience, or is now still that experience for you both?
Charlie, you want to take it?
Yeah, I think I can speak for both of us in saying that we were both new to the production. We weren't a part of the city center version. So whenever we initially jumped into rehearsal, at the new 42, we had a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, just to get everything together. And we were kind of scrambling, but there was this ease in the room, and Michael and a lot of the creative team just created this environment that was so loving, and there's such a family aspect to every single rehearsal. And we would meditate before rehearsal, and we would breathe together and talk about what we're really doing, and have different group sessions with young white men in the cast, some people of color. There's different groups that were just being educated about what this person thought in this time period, and how they're different from today, and how every single person should be educated on it. And it was very fascinating and a wonderful way to just hop right in. And there was a lot that I think we had to learn, but jumping, headfirst into it with this amazing creative team honestly felt just so natural, and it didn't feel as scary as I thought it would be, as a debut would be. But I'm interested to hear your opinion, Jake.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. All of those things. Again, the creative team, I cannot speak enough positive words about how amazing they were in supporting us, being new to this production. I had just recently come off the road doing a different show, and was kind of used to being thrown into things, but this is a whole different beast, because it is this beautiful piece, and it's written by Alfred and Jason Robert Brown. And that alone is just daunting, because that's not an easy thing. That's not an easy thing just to, pick up. And so, it was of course nerve-wracking, and there's a lot of really cool people in the room, be that actors, creative team, cast, crew, whoever. They're all beautiful, sparkly humans, and some people, a lot of whom I look up to and continue to and respect the crap out of. And so I came into the process very nervous just because of that alone, but no one has ever made me feel anything less than equal and respected, and more of an artist than I have felt than I do now. So that was really cool. And I often tell people I feel kind of like a crazy person because of how calm I was comparatively to other processes in my life. This is the Broadway debut, it's up here, but however, I felt more calm than I have ever felt in my life because of the artists around me.
And speaking of two of those really cool people in the cast, I have to pay respects to Ben Platt and Michaela Diamond, playing Leo, and Lucille Frank. Charlie's absolutely. I can only imagine the honor for both of you sharing the stage with them. What is that experience like? And did either of them give you any advice on ways to be a better performer, and ways in which to play your characters with grace and with levity, and the honor and respect that it deserves?
I think it is incredibly cool, and it's a huge honor to be sharing the stage with those two amazing performers. A little weird story about me is I was nominated for the Jimmy Awards back in 2017, and the host that year was Ben Platt. So it's kind of a weird full circle moment for me, which is very fun. And it's been fun to kind of get to know him and be his coworker this time. And watching him on stage is, I don't have the right words to describe it. He's incredible. I mean, he is who he is, and he deserves all the accolades because he is an impressive artist. And I can't even imagine being in Michaela's shoes, being next to someone so sparkly, but guess what? She's just as amazing. And the crazy part is she's my age, and we graduated the same year, and I was like, what the? So I could speak hours and hours about these people. However, my favorite part about the show is not necessarily the things we do on stage where I'm in. I love sitting down and watching them on stage. We get a front row seat of them acting together, and it's like a masterclass every day. And that is a huge honor to me.
That is wild. That full circle moment with Ben. I mean, did he remember you, or did you mention that?
We've met. I've mentioned it, but I mean, he has a lot of, like, he met a lot of people, you know, so it was just yeah.
Absolutely. And Jake, I'm from Pennsylvania. I understand you went to Penn State. You majored in musical theater. So if you were to go back to Penn State and speak to students that are studying that major right now, what advice would you share with them?
I would say, well, my first one would be, it's not over till it's over. I used to always put myself down whenever like things didn't work out my way. But truly, I think things will work out the way they're supposed to, and what's meant for you what is for you will happen for you. But I would also say that just like, you should only, I don't know, not only, but I think you should really go for projects and go for work that really speak to your heart and fulfill your needs as an artist. There's a lot of times in our business where you kind of settle because, oh, I need to make some money. And, I get that, absolutely. But I kind of have like 3 things that I look for in a job, right? And that would be something that fulfills you artistically, something that can help you financially, or something that works with your network. And it has to hit at least 2 of those 3. And if it doesn't do that, then you shouldn't take the job. And so when it comes to young people, it's very easy to be manipulated as a young artist and just be like hungry for work, but nothing's changed since I've been doing the random little theaters in a regional production or even high school. I'm the same person. All of a sudden, because I'm on the stage doesn't mean anything. You are as equally as talented, you are as beautiful as anyone else, and you can do this.
I love that. Charlie, what do you think about Jake's advice to aspiring Broadway artists?
I 100% agree. I've also just been hesitant of the work that I've also just like, wanted to be involved in. I think it's really wonderful and, powerful to be able to have the opportunity to pick and choose what type of projects you get to work on. And I feel very lucky to have that opportunity. And I know a lot of people, that finding work is a little bit hard nowadays. And I think that it can become difficult to pick and choose, but at the end of the day, if you love this art, if you love what you're doing, if you love storytelling, then by all means do it, and do it, forever. Whatever makes you happy, I think, I'll just pop back over to the Ben and Michaela question. Oh my God, like I had no idea that Michaela was that young. I was like, this talent coming out of this human being, like, oh my God, like she just holds this maturity. And I asked her a lot, I'm just like, how are you so confident? Like, cause I'm like not that far away from your age. And I just like, I need that confidence. Just tell me your tips and everything. And, just staying grounded and being yourself and just really believing in what you're saying with the story that you're telling. And then, Ben, I'm a very anxious human being, and we had some conversations. He was like, ditto. I'm also a very anxious human being, and how to cope with that on stage is so different, and it's important, especially coming from him. It was just like, wow, this is like huge mentor moment. But we were a little afraid to push the envelope a little bit, and how far to take it with Ben during the process. And I remember there was one time where he kind of just stopped and he kind of just spoke to the cast, and he was like, I need you guys to go a little bit further. I'd love to see how far we can take this, because if we don't take it this far, if we don't push the envelope, somebody else will. And this story is so meaningful and it needs to be told. And, if we don't tell it to its full extent, like we're not doing it justice. And he was just so ready to do more and just continue finding creative things, but also just like necessary things to tell the story and to make it as real as possible, which at times was a little nerve-wracking, but it was just like we were all holding each other's hands at the same time, and it was beautiful and wonderful. And I wouldn't have changed anything.
For you, Charlie, do you find that once you're in the role and you're enveloped in it and you're acting, that your anxiety just melts away at that point?
I think starting the show is always really hard. And I always just like, I tend to just like take some alone time just before the show. I meditate, I journal, and I just like really just get in this headspace. But as soon as the opening is, kind of over, and I'm kind of transitioning into another like character, or like many other tiny little miniature characters, it definitely like kind of goes away. But that anxiety, let's just call it nerves. I think the anxiety part is it's kind of gone and it's melted away. But I think that you're always going to have nerves, especially if you care about something a lot. I feel like nerves are great, but we also have, so we have PT people like on site. And I remember I was having like some sort of mental session with our like physical therapist. And we did some sort of meditation that had to do with anxiety, and that really helped. And I just that's also an amazing thing. Like we had a physical therapy dog like on site. Her name's Toasty. She was amazing during the process. And if you ever want a massage, or if you want to go talk, or have this kind of like heart to heart with Molly is her name. You can't have that kind of interaction, and it's a lot of productions, especially on Broadway, don't get that type of treatment. So I feel very lucky to have people to go to ask questions. Hey, how do I cope with this? And they have all the resources in the world. So that has helped a ton. And a lot of people in the cast, I think, can agree with me.
Wow. I wish in every setting that was something on offer to have,
Yeah.
to have, animals that can help soothe you and people that you can talk to. If only that could be everywhere, but maybe perhaps we will certainly get there. Getting to or towards the end of the show, I don't want to give anything away to anyone watching that hasn't seen Parade yet, but at the very end, there's information that I was really shocked at, and it caused me to do more research and want to learn more, even more about the story of Leo Frank in the trial. For both of you, just knowing what happens and going through this show and really seeing how things have come to be and the history that's still in America, it's a part of American history. What are your thoughts about the story? Has it caused either of you to really want to do more and read more and see how you could help the cause and really help bring more awareness to this part of American history outside of being a part of the cast itself?
Absolutely. I think Flory Bagel, who's in our cast, she says it perfectly all the time, but the show makes you, it like kind of puts a mirror in front of the audience, and it shows you what is happening back then and then what is still happening now, and how this trial is still ongoing, right? And so what I think this show continues to do for me and for others, it continues to tell myself, okay, maybe I should do more listening. I should just be okay with the fact that I could be wrong. All these things, like people have feelings and emotions. These are human lives, and that everyone deserves the respect because they are human alone, And so what I am doing constantly is doing more research about my biases, doing more research about communities that I'm not a part of, but am working alongside. And, I feel like you can never know enough, but you have to be okay with wanting to know more and being able to be like, okay, I was wrong. I'll take that in. Let me reassess and, let me listen. And so the biggest takeaway I hope that people get from this show is that we should just do more listening, be okay with growing together and leading more with love.
That
I 100% agree. And I think I was going to agree and also just say like that's with any situation, just like listening before you form opinions. And that was a lot of the direction of the show. So I think, for me, I am also just a very biased person about some certain things. And I do tend to form opinions quickly, but having an open mind and, understanding every single person's point of view is something that, I'm still working on, and I've tried to, learn through this process. And Michael had briefly said, the story we're telling on stage, we're not really trying to convince anyone of anything. There's no need to. What we want is for people to walk out, tell their friends, tell their family, tell whoever, and just have a conversation about what happened and how it impacts them today because there are so many different levels and connections with like the opening with the young soldier, or the opening with just like the flags, or opening with the parade, and how it's almost the exact same at the very end. And, it's just, it's crazy in the levels that, I don't know. I feel like people watch the show and they're like, wow, this was so crazy, but it was so long ago and things are different. But really, are they? And I don't want to say it's a cycle, but certain things replay, certain events, happen again and again. And I think that if we're so close-minded, those things can happen all over again. So I think it's very important to listen and to understand.
Absolutely. I agree with you. So now you're both in parade. What happens next? What are some things that you both would like to tick off of your career bucket lists at this stage?
As an actor, I've, learned a lot in my short time doing this professionally that I will never actually know until I get something. So right now I'm riding this beautiful wave of parade and auditioning and working my butt off, but I actually just got a dog. And so I'm growing my family over here, and I'm just, keeping in contact with my friends now that I'm in the city and being able to hang out with people. So I'm excited to keep growing as an adult and a human that I am, and being able to really hone in on those connections that I have and will continue to create.
Love that. How is dog dad life for you?
It's something else. He is a puppy. So we are learning how to, go outside to go to the bathroom and full on teething mode. So it's a time, but it's beautiful. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. And what about for you, Charlie?
Yeah, just lots of different opportunities, taking place, a lot of auditions, a lot of callbacks, a lot of this craziness. Yeah. And I think just genuinely just loving the process you're in, and understanding that like not everything is going to be the same as the project you just worked on or the one after. And, you just have to transition and understand that this is first a business, and then eventually whenever you get into a cast, it becomes a family. But like, things can get pretty hard, especially in this industry, especially on Broadway. There's a lot of people who are hungry and who are willing to work, and there's a lot of competition. But overall, I just I feel very grateful to be in the cast that, we are in, because it is just very much like a family. But yeah, I'm excited to see what's next, but only time can tell.
1000%. And last question for you both, Charlie and Jake. What are some reasons that anyone thinking about going to see Parade, kind of on the fence about it, not too sure if they want to see it, besides seeing both of your lovely faces on stage, why should they run out to New York City and go see the revival of Parade on Broadway?
I'll say really quick, it's like it's parade. It's the parade that you knew probably growing up, but completely redefined and reimagined. And the direction really just changes the way that the story is told. And there's, new songs, there's new dialogue, Alfred Urie's literally writing new stuff like in the, rehearsal room. It's new, and it's bigger and better than ever, I think.
Yes, it didn't get its moment that it deserved in 1999. So now it finally, I think, is. There's beautiful people on that stage. And the best part about theater is that it is beautifully impermanent. It's never going to happen the same. And this show is only a limited run right now. So get in while you can. But I would say that if anything else, there's beautiful work being done on that stage. And the biggest thing too is I'm a huge fan of Jason Robert Brown, and the fact that his work is back on that stage is just amazing. So just to hear that orchestra alone is a gift.
I agree with that as well. Truly a gift. Thank you both, Jake Pedersen, Charlie Webb. It was very nice talking with you both. I wish you all the success in the world. And thank you for being a part of On the Rise with BroadwayWorld.
Truly,
thank you.
You're so welcome. And thank you everyone for watching this episode of On the Rise with Candace, Cordelia here at BroadwayWorld. Please listen to both Charlie and Jake and go see the revival of Parade on Broadway. As Jake just stated, it is beautifully impermanent, and we definitely think it is an important part of American history that you need to see unfold on the stage of Broadway today and all the other shows as well. Thanks for watching, and until then, we'll see you later.
Suddenly loud as a mortar, there is hope. Finally,
Yes, Leo, there is hope. This isn't over. We are finally on the
there's
way.
still a million things that you and I can do.
I will speak
And
for you, Leo.
the things I see in you. It means a man who isn't guilty doesn't have to walk the plank. It means the gallows still are vacant, and we've got my wife to thank. It means you shouldn't underestimate Lucille and Leo Frank.